We're going to start on dividing rational expressions, and they are pretty much exactly the same. Sorry. They're the same as multiply. So when we multiply, or sorry, when we divide fractions, we actually flip and multiply. And you're going to flip and multiply the fraction after the divide bar. Okay. And then it's just what we did on Friday. It's the same exact thing. Okay. So what we're going to do for this first one, instead of divide, we're going to change it to 3 over 10r to the 5th. Mark this one out and change it to a multiply. So then, just like we did on Friday, what's the same on the top and the bottom? What can I reduce? Tell me something I can reduce. Say it again. The 10, they're the same on the top and the bottom. What else can I reduce? Say it again. Nope, they're both on the bottom. So I need something on the top and the bottom that I can reduce. There's one more thing. The 9 and the 3. They're both divisible by 3. So then across the top, I marked everything out, so that leaves a 1 on top. On the bottom, I have 3 and R right here, and 5 more R's. So that makes a total of 6 R's. Okay. If you need to, just rewrite the whole problem, and that's fine as well. So on this one, I'll rewrite the whole problem. We're going to change it to times. We're going to flip this over 5b squared over 2. Don't forget your points of discontinuity, because I didn't do it on the other one. I didn't mark out any R's, but I did leave some on the bottom. So just to throw that out there, we set it equal to 0. We take the 6th root, it's still going to give you 0. So it has a point of discontinuity at 0. Sorry, sometimes I forget those. Okay. All right, so on the next one, all we did was flip and change it to multiply. If it's the same on the top and the bottom, we can mark it out. So we can mark out b squared. Remember, that causes a whole. And then if there's nothing else you can mark out, 5 won't reduce with 3 or 2. So this is as good as it gets. We're just going to write what we have left. 5 times 5 is 25 on the top. On the bottom, we have 2 times 3, which is 6. Again, it will not reduce anymore. But we did have a point of discontinuity. Remember, we take whatever we cross out is a whole, set it equal to 0. To get rid of the square, we square root, still gives us 0. So we have a discontinuity at 0. All right. Any questions, 1 or 2? Again, same thing we did on Friday. We just got to flip that first fraction. Let me try to get, oh, there we go. All right, same thing on this one. I'm going to change it. 5/8 stays. I'm going to change it to multiply and then flip it over. 4x over 9. What can I reduce? The 4 and the 8. Sorry, y'all. I know that's probably making you crazy. The 4 will go to a 1. The 8 goes to a 2. There is absolutely nothing else that I can simplify, so I'm going to multiply straight across. I have a 5 and an x on top. On the bottom, I have 2 times 9, which is 18. I did not mark out any variables. There are no variables in the bottom, so there are no points of discontinuity on this one. And that's it. Any questions? Okay, just make sure you flip and multiply. So on the next one, 10a over 4a times 10 over 4. How can I reduce it? The a's will cancel out. That'll cause a point of discontinuity. That'll cause a whole. What else can I do? 2 more things. They both are divisible by 2, which changes to a 5 and a 2. And the same thing on this one, changes to a 5 and a 2. When we finish marking out, we multiply straight across. 5 times 5 is 25. 2 times 2 is 4. We had a point of discontinuity at 0. Why was it 0? Because we marked out A. Remember, we set whatever we mark out equal to 0. And then there was no variable in the bottom, so there's no vertical asymptote. That's it. All right, same thing on the next one. 9/7 cubed we leave alone. We change it to times, and we flip it to 3/7. Can I reduce anything on this one? No, there's absolutely nothing. So just multiply straight across. 9 times 3 is 27. 7 times 7 is 49, and n cubed. Do I have any points of discontinuity? I don't have any holes, but I do have a variable in the bottom, right? So don't forget that. Take that variable, set it equal to 0. Even if we take the cube root, it's still going to be 0. So this has a vertical asymptote at 0. Okay, so remember, it's not only what you mark out, but it's what you leave in the denominator. So now they're going to give you polynomials in factored form. And then the last part that we're going to do, they give it to you all together and you have to factor it. All right. So same thing. Again, I like to just mark it out, but it's up to you, whatever you want to do if you want to rewrite it. So I'm going to flip it. Just like this. And we're going to change it to multiply. Anything the same on the top and the bottom. 7x what? Remember, it's got to be all together the same. The plus 1, what else? You have the minus 2, and you have the 6x. Okay. So all of those are going to cause holes. Okay, everything we marked out is going to cause holes. The first one is just going to give you 0. The second one we add to, divide by 7. The third one we subtract 1, divide by 7. So there's your holes at 0, 2/7, and -1/7. Across the top, the only thing we didn't mark out is a 7. On the bottom, we marked out everything. We marked out everything. So 7 is all we have left. But then we have points of discontinuity at 0, 2/7, and -1/7. That's your final answer. All right. Same thing on the next one. And again, I like to, how's this so you guys can see. All right. I like to put these in parentheses so you don't try to cancel them with anything else. We're going to flip the second fraction. So 4n and 5n minus 3. And then 5n minus 3, 3n plus 8. And change it to multiply. All right. What can we mark out? The 3n plus 8. That's going to cause a hole because there's a variable in there. What else can we mark out? 5n minus 3. So the 3n plus 8 and the 5n minus 3, we're going to set equal to 0. We're going to subtract 8 and divide by 3. On the other one, we're going to add 3 and divide by 5. So we get holes at -8/3 and 3/5. There is absolutely nothing else that I can mark out. So my final answer on top, I have 4n. On the bottom, I have n minus 8. I have points of discontinuity at negative 8/3, 3/5, and then if I have n minus 8 left on the bottom, I'm going to have a positive 8. So make sure you have all of those. What does the 8 make? What is this one? You got to know because they're going to ask you on the exam. These two, because I crossed them out, are holes. This one is left in the bottom. It's a vertical asymptote. Okay, anything in the bottom is a vertical asymptote. All right, check out your next one. We're going to flip the second one. What can I mark out? Mm-hmm. 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 So what do I have left on top? 4. What do I have left on bottom? And then I'm going to have points of discontinuity. I did 7v minus 6. I did v minus 2. And I left a v plus 2. So on this one, we're going to add 6 and divide by 7. On the second one, we're going to add 2. So we have points of discontinuity at 6, 7, and 2. Those are holes. I left a v plus 2 on the bottom. That means I have a vertical asymptote at negative 2. Okay. So don't forget those. Holes when you cross them out, vertical asymptote when you leave it. Okay, check out your next one. 10 and 9 minus 5n. And then 2n plus 7. What can I mark out? Say it again. The 3n squared. Mm-hmm. And then what do you notice? What do you see? Yeah, and the other one is 5n minus 9, right? It's the opposite. Remember how we get it to flip around? Think about Friday. I told you the way you get it to flip around is to take out that negative. So all I do is put a negative on this 10 and then mark these guys out. So again, just to throw that out there, if we take out a negative 1, that just flips it around to be 5n minus 9. So that's what I did to get this to mark out. Okay, is everybody good? So then on top, the only thing I have left is what? That negative 10. On the bottom, I don't have anything. So I don't have any vertical asymptotes on this, but I have a lot of points of discontinuity. I had n squared that I marked out. When I square root 0, I still get 0. So I have a discontinuity or a hole at 0. I marked out 2n plus 7. To solve that, I would subtract 7, divide by 2. That's all you got to do. You don't have to show your work. And then the last one was the 5n minus 9. I would add 9, divide by 5. And again, all these are factored for you, so you don't have to work as hard. But we're about to get some that you have to factor. Okay. On this one, flip the second fraction. Change it to multiply. Again, I always add parentheses around anything that they have not. So what can I mark out? A plus 5. 3a plus 4. One more thing. 18 and 2. So this changes to 9. So on the top, what's the only thing I'm left with? 2. On the bottom, 9 and a. We have points of discontinuity. I marked out an a plus 5. So a minus 5. I marked out a 3a plus 4. How do I solve that? I subtract 4 and divide by 3. And then one more thing, I left an a on the bottom, so that causes a 0. Again, if you're not sure where I'm getting these points from, everything you cross out, set equal to 0 and solve. Okay, so set equal to 0 and solve. Any questions? First page. All right, does it get harder? The only way it gets harder is you have to factor it yourself. Okay, so that's what's going to happen on this sheet. P minus 10 will not factor. We can keep it the way it is. 25p minus 50. Always first step is look for a GCF. So is there a GCF between 25 and 50? Say it again. What are you taking out? Can you take out more? You can actually take out 25. Which leaves you with p minus 2. I do this all at the same time. The 1 is going to come down here. What can I take out of 5p minus 10? A 5, and that leaves me with p minus 2. Yep. All right. And this is done. Anything the same on the top and the bottom? P minus 2 will mark out. Anything else mark out? The 5 and the 25. So this will change to a 1 and this will change to a 5. There is nothing else to mark out. So on the top, the only thing I have is p minus 10. On the bottom, the only thing I have is 5 times 1 or 5. You can't reduce anything else. That p minus 10 has to stay together. The only way it'll reduce is if there's another p minus 10. That's why I keep them in parentheses. I have some points of discontinuity. I marked out a -2, so a +2. I don't have anything left in the denominator. So this is as good as it gets. That's it. All right. Check out number 12. I always want to start with the GCF. What's a GCF of 12p squared minus 54p? Think about your factors of 12. Yeah, 6 will go, right? What else? One more thing. P. So I'm going to take out a 6p and get 2p minus 9. Check out the bottom of this one. A lot of times you'll have those factors in there already. So if you're a little bit confused, look for that. The other one we're going to flip around. 4p is going to go on the top and 1 is going to go on the bottom. Change it to multiply. So what will mark out? Will anything else mark out? No. They're both on top, right? The only way they'd mark out is if they were on bottom. Say 1 on top, 1 on bottom. All right, so since they're both on top, we're just squishing them together. What's 6p times 4p? And on the bottom, the only thing I have left is 1. You can put it over 1 if you'd like just to see it. That's fine. But if you get a multiple choice answer, it's not going to have it. And then we need to do our points of discontinuity. P cannot equal. I marked out 2p minus 9. The way I would solve 2p minus 9 equal to 0 is I would add 9, divide by 2. There is nothing else that I marked out or left on the bottom. That's it. All right. What about 13? What do I do for that one? How do I do 13? How do I factor that first thing? Is there a GCF? No, but there's a number in front. So how do I do it? I see y'all doing it. Slide and divide. Yep. So I get v squared minus 36v plus 35. What are your factors of 35 that add to negative 36? Negative 35 and negative 1. And then I did slide. Now I have to divide. So what I'm going to do is rewrite this whole thing at the bottom. 35 divided by 5 is 7. V minus 1/5, that 5 is going to come to the top to be 5v minus 1. On the bottom, you had 7v plus 1. We're going to change this. 7v plus 1 will not do anything. What can I take out of 30v minus 6? Which leaves you with 5v minus 1. So on the bottom, I'm going to have 6 and 5v minus 1. All right. What can I mark out? 7v plus 1, 5v minus 1. Anything else? All right. So what am I left with on the top? On the bottom? 6. I do have points of discontinuity that I marked out. If I set them equal to 0, 7v plus 1 equal to 0, I would subtract 1, divide by 7. On the other one, I would add 1, divide by 5. There are no vertical asymptotes because there's no variable in the bottom. I'm going to slide down to 15. You don't have to do anything to the x plus 3. It's good to go. What about 2x minus 8? Take out a 2, leaves me with x minus 4. Change it to multiply. 5x minus 9, there's nothing I can do. But I do need to factor the bottom. Is there anything I can take out of the bottom? Yeah, definitely take that 2 out. That leaves me with 5x squared minus 25, 26, 27, x. That's not right. 16, 8, 20. 2, 4, 1, 8, 9. Plus 72 divided by 2. 6 is 3, 12 is 6. All right. What do I do now? Say it again. So I get not 5x squared. X squared minus 29x. And then 36 times 5 is 180. Remember that you can use your calculator on this. Sorry, it's clearing out stat stuff. I don't know my factors of 180 that add to negative 29. So I'm going to put it in my calculator like this. Look at my table. And I'm looking for 29. There's 36, 32. Negative 29. Sorry, let me go up this way so you guys can see it. There it is. Negative 9 and negative 20. Negative 9 and negative 20. Don't forget I did slide. Now I have to divide. So on the top, I took out a 2. I'm going to slide this 5 up. So 5x minus 9. And then 20 divided by 5 is 4. And again, lots of stuff should factor out, mark out. What do we have the same on the top and the bottom? The 2. 5x minus 9 and x minus 4. So the only thing we have left, x plus 3 on the top. There's nothing on the bottom, so there's no vertical asymptotes, but we do have points of discontinuity. The 2 doesn't matter. We had a minus 4, so that would be a plus 4. And then how do we solve this? We add 9 and divide by 5. And that's it. Okay, we're going to drop to 17. We're not going to do all these, okay? We're probably going to do 2 more and be done. All right, maybe 3 more. Look at 17. Have 14r cubed plus 63r squared. What will come out of that? 7r squared. Leaves me with 2r plus 9. On the bottom, what will come out of 35 and 50? Realize your only factors in 35 are 7 and 5, right? Okay, so what will come out of 50? The 7 or the 5? 5. So 7r plus 10. We're going to flip and multiply. I'm going to go ahead and do the top first. 14, 61, and 9. Nothing comes out of that. So we're going to go ahead and move that over. We got r squared plus 61r. And then 9 times 14 is 126. Minus 126. I need factors of negative 126. That add to 61. They're right there. Negative 2 and 63. And then I have to divide by 14. 2 divided by 14 will change into 1 over 7, and that 7 goes to the top. And remember, we're switching this to the bottom. So we get 7r minus 1. The other one, 63, will be 9, and 14 is 2 when we divide it by 7. And we slide that 2 to the front, so 2r plus 9. I'm going to run into the other side on this one. 49r squared plus 63r, minus 10. The only thing that'll come out of 10 is 2 and 5, and that won't come out of either one of those, so it's as good as it's going to get right now. We're going to slide it over. R squared plus 63r minus 490. Negative 490. That adds to a positive 63. Our negative 7 and 70. And remember, we have to divide by 49. Seven and 49 will reduce to 1 over 7. Slide the 7 to the front, so 7r minus 1. And again, you'll start seeing them cancel out. Divide by 7, we get 10 and 7. The 7 will move to the front. So there's our 7r plus 10. What marks out? And all the rest will not reduce. So our final is 7r squared over 5. There's nothing in the bottom, so I don't have any vertical asymptotes. But I do have points of discontinuity. The first one, I would subtract 9, divide by 2. The second one, subtract 10, divide by 7. And the last one, add 1, divide by 7. That's it. finish on a little bit easier one. Let's look at number 20. Number 19 would have been about the same. All right. What is in common between 50 and 70? 10. So 5x plus 7. 35x squared plus 35x. Leaves me with x. And then remember, when I take everything, I have a 1. All right. 49x plus 49. What's in common? 49. Leaves me with x plus 1, and I'm moving it to the top. And then 35x plus 49. What's in common in that one? A 7 leaves me with 5x plus 7. So just to rewrite it so you can see it, we have a 10 and a 5x plus 7. We have a 35x and x plus 1. We're changing it to multiply 49 and x plus 1, 7 and 5x plus 7. What marks out? What else? What else? You can do 49 and 7. You can do 10 and 35. You could have done 49 and 35. It doesn't matter how you do it, just as long as you're reducing it, okay? So 49 will go to 7, and this will go to 1. And then again, you see 7 and 35, right? So this 7 will cancel out, and 35 will go to 5. But then you also have 10 over 5, which will reduce to 2. Okay. So look, all the way across the top, the only thing we have left is a 2. Look all the way across the bottom. What's the only thing we have left? We marked the 5 out. What else do we have? Look, it's sneaky in there, just that X. Don't forget to look really hard for this. We have points of discontinuity, and we also have a vertical asymptote since we have X in the bottom. Our first point of discontinuity, I had an X plus 1, so it's going to be a negative 1. I marked out 5x plus 7. To solve that, I would subtract 7, divide by 5. Now, when you leave a singular X or mark out a singular X, it's going to be a 0. So this is your final answer. Any questions? All right. I think that stops us. Yep. Tomorrow will be a little bit more challenging because it's adding and subtracting. Okay. But we just got to find a common denominator, and that's the hard part. After finding the common denominator, it gets easy. So I'm going to stop sharing and stop recording.